I'm just going to add one more library. It's called puppeteer. This is basically how you want to write your code, which gives you better indentation and you can avoid semicolon and things like that. So this is nice to have. So I'm going to create this file called puppeteer.rc. I'm just going to double check that. I don't want to make any um, typo. So I'm just going to copy this just to so that I'm not doing a typo here. So it's touch.puppeteer.rc. It's just a file that I'm going to create. And if I open that, there's nothing right now. And I'll just copy this and I'll explain this to you guys what it means. So let me do that. Copy. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that in my code, I do not want to use a semicolon, which is kind of annoying. Then instead of double quotes, I'm going to use single quotes. I'm going to use tab um, to kind of move from one section to another. Then for indentation purpose, I have it at 2. And then I also want the style to be an ES5 versus an ES6. You can kind of read up a little bit on this on JavaScript ES5 and ES6. I'm going to use ES5. Then arrow parents, it's basically another syntax that I'm trying to avoid for now. And I'm just going to kind of stick with these parameters just to make the editor a little bit more simpler to use in terms of the coding. So that's pretty much what this is all about. And now for sure we can start coding. So let's write our first test. So I'm going to create a file called first test.js and let's go in there. Okay, and then I'm going to say constant puppeteer equals require. So we want to import this library first, puppeteer. So this library is quite handy. Then you do a describe, and then what it basically says is describe. This is the first test that I'm going to execute, and it is actually means that this is a suite, and this is basically the test under that to be executed. And then, like I said, it's all an async call, which means that you are going to execute them in an asynchronous fashion where there will be a little bit of a wait before things get executed. But like I said, it's still really fast the way it does things. So I'm going to type in my first piece of code. So let's do constant browser. So you have to define your variables here. So I'm saying await and then puppeteer, and then I'm going to say launch. I'm just going to launch the browser, and then I'm just going to say headless is false, which means I want I'm just going to move this a little bit here. Headless is oops, headless is false, which means I need to basically I'm just going to make sure that I got things right here. Headless is false. Okay, then you got to verify, I mean kind of define the page. So pages, then you say browser, which you've used here. Then you say new page. That's that.